Fundle. Oh, are you filming that? Hi, I'm Georgie and I work at Bravissimo as our recruitment manager, and last year I was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 32, and this is a little bit about my story.
So were you aware of the work that CoppaFeel did before you got your diagnosis?
Yes, I was. So I followed Chris, who founded CoppaFeel, on Instagram, just because I'd heard her on a podcast and was so inspired by her, just in terms of her approach to life, and you know, not really about the breast cancer stuff, to be honest, just her approach to things and her mindset and stuff I found really inspiring. Then Bravissimo had CoppaFeel come into the business in February 2020, and Boobette came along and did some kind of chats on breast awareness and getting to know your normal, and so I'd kind of had that talk then as well, which was really helpful. But I actually found my lump in the June of that year, so since then obviously I've become a lot more aware of what CoppaFeel do and kind of get into grips with some of the stuff they do with schools and things like that. It's been really good just to understand.
What would you say to like young big boob women about checking their boobs?
I think for anybody, you know, women, men, it's about kind of knowing your normal and understanding what your body feels like and just being comfortable to know that and feel empowered to do that. So I think quite a lot of people probably think still that cancer is an older person's disease. But actually 1 in 7 women will get breast cancer. It isn't impossible in under kind of 45s, and here I am as living proof of that. So I was diagnosed at 32, so I think anybody who kind of is younger, it's all about just kind of being comfortable to know yourself and know your body, and actually to feel comfortable in just knowing you're normal and not being nervous about checking, because you're not looking for cancer, you're looking to just find out what's normal for you and just make sure that you're aware if anything, you know, does go wrong or there is something there that shouldn't be there. So if I hadn't have known about CoppaFeel and actually checking my boobs, when I felt that lump, I could have put it off. I could have thought, actually, it's nothing. I'm young, it's probably not for me. But we've got to try and break these taboos of cancer and some of these typical stereotypes. You know, it's not all bald old people in a hospital. That's not it at all. You know, it can be anybody and it can happen to anybody. So being empowered and being empowered to talk about it and be open about it is the first step to getting things diagnosed early, which is important for any cancer, but breast cancer in particular is super important.
Bravissimo and CoppaFeel have got quite a community around them, haven't they? So how did you find your like big boob community to help support you through all this?
I think from a kind of community of people, I suppose for me it's more about the people I work with. So lots of big boob girls at Bravissimo anyway. But I guess for me, I've had a community of women around me throughout Bravissimo and guys as well. And then I found a big community online as well of people who are younger, who've been diagnosed with breast cancer or have got family members going through breast cancer diagnosis. So I feel like the sense of community at Bravissimo is big anyway, so that's been really helpful. But to work somewhere that kind of empowers women generally, you know, checking your boobs is all about empowering you in a different way. So the kind of community feel in that sense has been really helpful, I think, for sure.
What inspired you to now become a Boobette, and what does being a Boobette for CoppaFeel mean to you?
Well, I mean, I owe so much to CoppaFeel. I wasn't checking my boobs religiously, to be honest with you, when I found my lump, but you know, I'd check in the shower or when I was putting moisturiser on or whatever, so I knew what my boobs felt like. So the second I found my lump, I knew it wasn't normal for me. I knew that it felt different. That's what CoppaFeel's all about, really. It's about being confident enough to know what your normal is, so when something does change, you're in a position to really advocate for yourself and go, do you know what, this isn't normal for me, like I need to get it checked. So I owe a lot to CoppaFeel for giving me that message, because thankfully, touch wood, you know, mine was caught pretty early. I think for me it's about passing that message on further. If I can just get one person to check their boobs, that would mean an awful lot to me, because you know, that's the key to getting diagnosed early, is to know yourself. You know, women in the UK aren't entitled to mammograms until they hit, I think it's 50, so it's quite important to check your boobs and know you're normal, because that's the best way you're going to get diagnosed early. That's the only way, because mammogram's not going to pick it up. for me, it's just about passing that on. And CoppaFeel is just an amazing organisation. I mean, it's all about education really, and it's not about, we're not trying to get people frightened or about, looking for cancer, because that can be scary, but actually, it's just about being aware and not being frightened to talk about it, because, it's boobs, and, I think especially in younger people, like that can be a bit of a tricky subject, but actually it's part of our body and we should be really, happy to talk about it. So yeah, younger people, I think the earlier we get people aware of that, better, because it just becomes part of the conversation, and that's how it should be, I think.
Should we give the boob a squeeze now?
Oh my god,